Hello, hello, Rise and Thrivers. Guess what? It is a new year. It is 2025. Are you ready to thrive in 2025? Well, welcome to Monday, January 6th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And just in case you're brand new or those that need a reminder, we are Rise and Thrive together. We are a committed and community out to educate and empower and equip you to get the results that you want through real talk and real actions. Super excited to start the new year. So much to talk about, and so thrilled to continue on this journey with my partner in crime, my sister from another mister, my co host, my dear friend, mentor, Raquel Stewart. What's up, Raquel?
Hello, Rise and Thrivers. I don't sound like this normally for those. However, it's what I sound like tonight. So we're going to push through. I may pause to get some water, but we're here. Super excited. I can't believe that next week is already the middle of January. Is that right? That sounds crazy.
Yeah, it's yeah.
I feel like I plunge.
Yes, yeah. Like let's talk about that. I mean, like here we are. It's you said it perfectly. Next week is the second week in January. There's 4 weeks. Raquel and I have been planning the year. Like literally, that's what we do. We are look at the year. We start through quarters, and there's 4 weeks. Like in January, next week is week two. And how exciting for you as you started your new year, committed, committed to what you said you were going to do. You did a plunge, which I was sharing with her early behind the scenes. Like I couldn't wait to see her video. She told me how she was going to video it, and I felt like I was running with you and plunging in. Except I was nice and warm at home watching you.
Yeah, it was really cold, um, but it's just what I do. So I absolutely loved it. um, and I think this may be some of the cold weather and the cold, well, everything. Just, but it's great, absolutely great. I love doing it. And my sister, she did a plunge as well, but she did. We had a fire and ice plunge. I did the ice, and she did the fire. So she was somewhere in the Caribbean and jumped in the pool on a ship. But we did it. We planned it where we did it at the same time.
Oh
So
wow.
it was really great. Um, it'd be interesting. I'd love to know how people started the new year. How did you start the new year? What were you doing?
Oh, yeah. So, yes, big question for everybody out there. Hello, people who are watching or hit replay, hashtag replay. How did you start your new year? Um, whew, like we have, this is our second year in a row that we did New Year's Eve with another couple and their two kids. Our kids have become very, very close, and we have. And this year, her friend that she's met became one of our friends as well. And we all got together at her house and all brought in, just some of our favorite foods, from our favorite dips to our favorite vegetables. And the kids love, like, have them take the crescent rolls and put a one chocolate Hershey bar in it, like the piece of it, and they roll it and they make it like their chocolate croissants. So it's super exciting. We did that. It went really fast. I mean, we got there at 6 o'clock. We left there at almost 1 in the morning. And you would think, like, wow, that's, a lot of time together. We just couldn't believe how quick it happened. But I think the most exciting piece was the creativity that my girlfriend has. She literally took, while the kids were upstairs playing, she got a dollar store tablecloth. And then she has this really great machine that blows up the balloons really big. So the men put the dollar store tablecloth up on the ceiling with tape. And then we blew up the balloons and put them in there. And then there were just strings that were hanging from the tape. So when they all came down, they pulled the strings and the balloons fell on top of them. So we had our own ball drop. I think the fun part about it, because you and I are live each week, so there's sometimes a lag. So I found out when they counted 10 to 0, we had already noticed it was 12:01, going on 12:02. So we were kids didn't notice, right? However, the TV was, we just thought something with the streaming system. But I found out from everyone, and I'll ask you this, I found out from a lot of people from a lot of places around the world, there was a lag. So as the ball dropped, we watched it from New York and other places. I wasn't the only one that was technically in the new year. We just thought it was funny. There was a lag, and I
Mm.
just think that's an interesting conversation, about as we enter 2025. So how I really started the new year was that, and slowing down, like really slowing
Mm.
down and saying, "You," I jump in like new year, right? Boom, let's go, vision board, blah blah blah, let's go. You've got what you said you were going to do. Yes, there were things that you and I discussed in our business and myself personally, but I chilled. Like it's 6 days in, and we're accomplishing things in a much more intentional,
Mm.
not so, you know me. And so for those who don't know me, I'm a high energy person. And so, like, really, it's like intentional, slow down, take a moment, really kind of look at things. So I think it's a perfect conversation what we're getting into tonight. So as much as it was fun, it is easing in with intention for 2025. That is how I'm going to thrive.
I like
So
that. I like it, easing in with intention.
yes.
My word for 2025 is wisdom,
Mm,
and using wisdom in order to execute whatever plans I have set. So it's it'll be interesting to see how that goes with
yeah.
wisdom. It's a trial and error, y'all. It's not. So please don't think I'm perfect by any means. It is trial and error. But my word for this year is wisdom and execute. So people are gonna come at me with a whole lot, and it already has happened. Um, and it's just about stepping back, getting all the facts, getting the information, and then analyzing all the data that I have and using wisdom in my decision making in order
Love it.
to execute whatever it is that needs to be executed. So this year for me, it's all about wisdom.
Love
So
it.
I'm
Love it. Love
excited
it.
for that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Wisdom, and then the word that's always downloaded for me, because people know I'm in community, but like it's the capital UNITY this year, unity. And I have my own thought of what that might be, but I'm even letting that go, right? So wisdom in community. And definitely, I would say that intention. So, what you shared right now is exactly what Josh talks about all the time. Like, really just getting all that information, right? And really looking at it intentionally. He calls it the critical thinking, right? Like using critical thinking. And then, like you said, taking time and using your wisdom, using your intuition, and really stepping into like knowing who you are and saying yes, no, whatever that is to move stuff forward, which I think goes great into our topic of January. I'm really excited to just put up this design for you guys because Raquel did just such a beautiful oh, I thought I loaded the design, so sad. If somehow or another, yes, there it is. Our big new year topic for January is this beautiful kick off the year with clarity and purpose. So, welcome to our first webcast as we're diving into the conversation identity. Are you what you do, or do you identify, or not, or it could be both. Do you identify as who you are? And I just love, thank you. I want to give you a shout out because you're so beautiful at creating that. And this is something that you brought up to me and shared with me about that. So I'd love for you to kick off this year's topic and what we're going to dive into.
So I think the first thing we need to do is define identity. and what that
Mm,
means. So,
great.
identity is the way you perceive yourself and how you present yourself to the world. Identity is shaped by internal factors like your values, beliefs, passions, as well as external factors like your job, your family, and societal roles. Now, I feel like I'm teaching a class, but it's important that we have this working definition of identity and what that is. And the reason why this topic hit me and I want to open up the new year with it is because if we don't know who we are, then how do we know what we're going to be accomplishing for this new year? You know, and some of us may be working on things from last year that we're bringing in, and that's absolutely fine. But do you know who you are apart from your family, your job? But who are you? And I find that when I ask people, so tell me a little about you, the first thing they say is, well, and they identify as their job or vocation. They identify in that way. And then they go, well, I'm a mom, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, a wife, I'm whatever it is. And that gives me no insight into who you are as a person. Now, I don't know how the rest of you find it, but I find that's the people I meet that they don't identify when I say, tell me a little about you. I'm not asking about your job. I never ask a person out the gate what it is they do. I always want to know who they are before I find out what they do. What I don't know what you run into with that, sis.
Oh, I know.
What
When
do
you
you
brought this topic
find?
up to me, to be honest, we were catching up and kind of doing so much that day. And when we finally got to that piece toward the end of our call, I have been sitting back and looking at that. And since you've said it, I've been noticing exactly what you said. Exactly what you said. Every time somebody says, "Hi, so and so," how are you? Who are you? They're like, "I'm a fitness," like exactly what you said. And I was like, it's so glaringly now in my awareness. Susan's on. Hey, Susan. People mix up roles with who they think they are. So that's even another level, right? Like that whole level of who we think we are. And thanks, Susan, for jumping in. Hi, Genevieve. I know that you're here as well. Thanks for jumping in as well. Um, and there's two ways, right? So there's and anybody jump in. So Susan, since you're here, how do you identify yourself? What would you like to share about you, right? Like what do you say about you? Because in a lot of this work, one of the most brilliant things was when I get caught up in like, who am I? One of my coaches and mentors was like, go ask people out there. So it's really fun to see how some people identify me, right? So many of those conversations you just said, people identify me as. Oh, you're Regina, you're this webcaster, you're a life coach, you're a fitness instructor. Oh my goodness, you're this mom of, whatever, the wife of Josh, all of these things. Beautiful. Love it. And then I'm like, wow, do I walk around and do that as well? So,
Mm,
so it's fun. So it's not a mix, for me, right? But I love what Susan says, the people who mix up the roles of who they think they are. So then there's the external, like you said, the external people who
mhm,
see me how they think it is. And then who do I think I am? And so since you brought that up, it's like I said, not jumping in and saying, I'm going to declare X, Y, and Z. But the things that come up for me is like a way of being about myself. So there's not like this description. Genevieve's fun. Genevieve's like, I identified as not normal with a little smiley face, right? Like, I love it, right? There's that, right? People identify themselves in so many ways. And so I'm very much taking on this beautiful topic that you so beautifully brought up, um, to kind of look at that about myself. Like, I'm at a clear new space. Like, who am I? How do I identify myself? And right now, I'm sort of in that old way, like sort of like, I describe myself. I describe myself. So
Yeah.
Susan's jumping in again, right? I'm finally a woman of lifelong experience, a wise woman who still contributes to people. What's your thoughts on that,
Mm,
Rock?
I love that because it says who she is. Nowhere in there did she say, I am an entrepreneur. I help people revise, revamp their resumes. She didn't say any of that. She said who she is. She's a woman. She's a woman that gives of herself to others, and she will continue to do that until her last breath. All of that is what I got because she used the words long life experiences. So she's had
Mm,
some stuff go on, but she didn't let that stuff define her. It may have made an impact in her personality, but it doesn't define who she is. For example, we've all experienced heartbreak. We don't go around saying, hey, I'm the recipient of heartbreak. Like, who does that? We don't do that. And it's interesting you say if you really want to know how people see you, ask people that know you. And I've done that because I was doing some work at a program I was in. And they were like, hey, we want you to, if you're brave enough, ask your friends how they see you. Interesting because my friends all pretty much had this common theme. They were like, you're a go getter. You see something and you put it in place, put a plan in place, and you go get it. You're adventurous. You're this, you're that. And I'm like, wow. And they're like, and you're a person that people can talk to. I'm like, wow, and that's how you see me. So it's smart because I would have accepted whatever they said because that's how they see me, right? So if you really want to know how people view you, ask people. Don't assume what you think they know. You have to ask them. But it's,
mm,
I know a lot of people who identify. I have a girlfriend who she used to identify herself as a wife, a mother, um, a friend, all of these other these words that she used, and then she joined this group, a really amazing group that taught her to see who she is apart from that. Yes, you're a wife. Yes, you're a mother. That's fact. But who are you apart from that? And that's why when I sat down, I thought about this topic. It became I heard a lot of people saying, when they were in relationships, whatever that is, with marriage, uh, just a relationship, boyfriend girlfriend relationship, and that relationship ends. A lot of people say I lost who I was in that
mm-hmm.
relationship, and I'm just curious what the audience, what our listeners think about that, as well as you, Reg. What do you think about when people say, I don't know who I am? I lost myself in that relationship. And
I
mind
have
you,
chills.
I
No, I do. It's so incredible. Hey, you guys, thanks for joining us. Please engage with us. Drop in your comments. Thank you, Susan and Genevieve, who have been doing that. Because again, we don't rehearse this. Raquel and I talk, and have some theme, and then we go on with our life, and it's real talk right now, live with you. So this isn't a rehearsed conversation. Um, it is rampant in my community. It is one of the reasons I would say going back to 2020 when I kind of flipped into the life coaching because it's everywhere I see in communities, in person or online. People that have gone through breakups or divorces or any loss, right? Any type of loss that they're like, I don't know who I am. Oh, I got a huge, hold on for a second. We got a fire truck coming by. Um, I almost read that daily. I will say I do read it daily. I can probably pick it up in any community that I'm in right now. I don't know who I am. Help, like just a safe space, right? Like I've lost who I am. This happens. And I definitely can relate to that, throughout my lifetime, especially you and I know each other from, the job that we met at. I would say going into there, I would identify myself as the social worker and a type of social worker. By the time you and I really got close and worked our way out, that was not that. You know what I mean? Like that's not, I didn't identify as the social worker of this particular, piece. But I hear that all the time. And listen, you know, how many of you, see so many different ads or different, opportunities where people are, that's what they are. They're coaches for that. They're business coaches for nothing wrong. That's what Raquel and I are talking about. That's what's up. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what people are dealing with. So they want to find a community or a one-on-one person or a workshop or whatever that is to big think reconnect and find out who am I. So I think that's such a beautiful conversation. And yeah, I see
So
it
there's
absolutely.
something I definitely want to put out there, and that is what's the difference between external and internal roles or self awareness, what have you. Something that's temporary and situational, like your job. So if you identify as a social worker, but you get fired, then who are you? Right? It's still who are you? When you said I'm mom and I've got to go and I got to do this with the kids. When your kids are grown and now you're an empty nester, it doesn't change the fact that you're still a mom, but your child now is grown and independent. You're still a mom. Don't lose what I'm saying to you. But do you still identify as a mom? Your child is no longer there. That's why empty nesters go through this phase where they no longer know each other as a couple because they've stopped being that because they had this child or children,
Mm,
right? Life circumstances, they change and they evolve with external forces. Now, internal is more self aware. However, your internal, your self awareness is rooted in your core. It's who you are, it's staying constant regardless of what changes. So, who are you at your core? And a really good friend of ours, Reg, helped me realize that I am a fierce interrupter of disempowerment.
yes.
And that's why at times I get frustrated when people feel like I have nothing, I can do nothing, this happened, they don't know their self worth. So I'm a fierce interrupter of disempowerment. I don't identify as a life coach. I don't identify as a professor. I actually don't like having those conversations because it kind of twists in a different way. I want people to get to know who I am. You want to win people to what you do, you have to win people to who you are. There's this quote, and I don't remember who said it. If someone knows, feel free to put it in the chat. But people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Mm, love that.
So let's have that conversation about external and internal. And too many people identify, and there's nothing wrong with saying you're a mom, a wife, a divorcee, or whatever. However, but who are you? That's some stuff that happened to you. It's situational. It's like walking around saying, I am someone whose heart was broken.
Yeah.
Get it?
Let me tell you, you made an impact, sis.
Fun.
This conversation, Genevieve started with, having a little fun with us, right? Saying that she's not normal. And then, she went on to the next piece. But I love what she just wrote, right? I am a vessel and a light anchor for many. Like that,
Nice.
like Genevieve's a bunch of things I could say. But like she gets who she is. She knows she is a light and she is a
Mm,
vessel and she's that light anchor. I love that because like an anchor, right? When you think about an anchor, boom, it can be like strong and it is, but she's a light anchor. I'm seeing either light and Genevieve keep on writing in because I'm only interpreting what you're writing. So when I hear vessel and a light anchor, there's two things that come up to me: either a light, like a vessel that's beaming a light, like a beacon, or a vessel with an anchor, but it's a light anchor, right? Like so that you can continue to flow and move and then just stay grounded where you need to. Beautiful. Love it. Susan is jumping in because what she loved your conversation of, because you've distinguished the separate definitions of identity and core, right? You know, um, like, she loves it because that those two definitions of external and internal, right? So there's the identity. We're all social workers, Susan, and like, and then there's the core, the essence, like you said, the true essence of who we are. So amazing.
Hmm.
Yeah, Susan, we've got some thanks for how it shows up for you, but we're here, we're live. This is how it is. We've got we've got some stuff going on, and today's a loud day by me, and all the doors are closed, but we got lots happening. And
So
Genevieve is saying,
let's kind of drift back to why does it matter? So I'll throw this question out. Why does it matter to clarify who you are? And I'll throw that out to our audience and throw it out to you. Why does it matter? Why is that important? Why does it make a difference for us to identify who we are? When I say us, I mean people, right?
hold on, right? I'm throwing it out there. Why does it make a difference to identify who we are?
And
Great
I'd
question.
like some, so chime in, Reg.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
does it make a difference for you to know who you are?
Well, the first automatic thing, right? So I'm throwing it out there to everybody too is, hello, it's me. Like I'm here. Like it's me, myself. If I'm not clear, like if I really like I'm the one who lives with me every single day of my life. Um, and then I'm around the external of my life, anybody who's in my path and all the things that I do. But if I truly don't know who I am, if I truly don't get to the core of who I am, that love, that light, that energetic, compassionate, like I like to say, and I don't mean cheerleader, like, but like that's just the word that comes up. Like I am out there, like to have people rise, and have them see that for myself. If I don't know that about myself, then what am I doing? Right? Like I'm walking around in, like Susan was saying, these stories, and my life is quite, what I like to say, very low. And in those conversations of, you know, I don't know, I'm confused. I'm overwhelmed, like all of that. And nothing, please, everyone, please right get that happens to all of us. We all go through many spaces, as Genevieve is lovely saying, is we need to be clear, so you lead by example. Beautiful, Genevieve, love it. Right, need to be clear so we can lead by example. So if we don't know who we are, then we're just walking around sort of like, funny, but what Susan said, like a zoo. Like she says, it sounds like a zoo for her. We're just walking around like with this happening chaos happening, and where am I going, what am I doing, how is my life being impacted,
Yeah,
not having the results I want for myself and my life, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
the impact it has that I want to make, not just for my own life, but then the external that I want in the world.
And
So
that hits the nail right on the head, because if we're not clear on who we are, then we can be unfulfilled, because we're trying all these different things to fill a void that we have, but we don't even know why that void exists. We don't know who we are to do things that align with who we are and our purpose. We just don't do that, right? And then we'll start getting into all these things, like I said, these different roles that don't reflect who we are. And I'll say it like this. Have you ever taken on a role that no matter how you tried, it just was not fitting? It's like you're a size 10 and you are wearing a size 4 dress. I'll tell y'all, that joint is uncomfortable. It
yeah.
just doesn't fit. You're trying to make this daggone size 4 fit, and the only way to make it fit is to take it the hell off or open up the size. Or for men, sorry, a shoe. Like you're a size 13 and you're trying to fit into a size 9. It is uncomfortable when you're trying on all these different dresses, these different shoes, these different rolls. And they, no matter how you try to make it work, it doesn't, because it's not who you are. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. I mean, I can, let me go through my life, right? From, if it's relationships, like straight up. We've talked about this, and we'll be spending lots of new open conversations and real talk conversations this year. But I would definitely say inside of my relationships up to my marriage at this point, I didn't know who I was. I thought I did.
Yeah.
And this is like, listen, at the end of the day, you know, no disrespect to anybody, but I'm raising an 8-year-old. Raquel knows that. She knows my daughter. At the end of the day, I'm looking from the external, and then many people share with me. So it's not like I've got like a small group, but a big group. We get wired, like we've talked about, of you're at a certain age and then you're getting married. And then, like we've got all of that who we think we are because it's all been wired externally from what has been told to us. Whatever, whoever has raised us or whatever we get, kind of caught up in. So I've been there and done that, right? Like I've been there and done that. All the friends in junior high school have the boyfriends. Woo woo. You know, what's wrong with me? Like all of this made up stuff, like all this stuff. So you kind of just kind of go on the snowball effect. You don't even know anything, especially when you're younger. So by the time, like we always say, I don't know, I'm going to ask you this, like, did you really know yourself in your 20s? Like, did you really know who you
I thought I
were
did.
exactly, right?
I thought I did. I thought I knew. I thought I knew who I was in my 30s. I had an idea, just didn't know how to be that person. So I was someone else. I had on that size dress and I was a size 10 and uncomfortable. And nothing did work, especially in the relationship I was in. So then I took on a role that became like this mother role, and I'm like, what? What are we doing here? So no, I didn't. But when I took time, here's what I did. I had to take that time and do introspection and really and truly be honest with myself. And that's how the first book came about. It's the audacity of self, dare to put you first. Because you have the audacity to put everyone else on the sidelines and start looking and taking care of you. And I had to start doing that. It was incredible, just the growth, not perfect, want to be, um, because then I don't learn to grow, but no idea who I was. But once I sat with me, I saw the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent. And all of that is
Yeah. I
still
love
there,
what
but I
Susan wrote.
choose to put one forward instead of the others.
Yeah. I love what Susan wrote because this is a great conversation. And, thanks for staying with us because we'll be getting into this as further year goes on. But she says young people trying a lot of roles to see what works. Of course, right? We should not expect them, especially adults, expect or whoever the caregiver is to know who they are at 18 or 21. But we do. We push and pressure out of our own anxiety, right? Like, and I love that because and that's such a powerful conversation. That's great to again be in my own awareness, and that's why I live in community because it's true. Like we expect them to know. I mean, how many of us know 18 and 21-year-olds? If you have nieces, nephews, cousins, friends, whatever role they are, and you hear and you listen to what family members or close friends say or other people say that they're supposed to be. You say you're a disruptor of disempowerment. We know that Hal's been on this show many, many times and will be on this year as well. He is a disruptor of the education system as it is because there is this kind of pressure and way of being for in high schools of what we think they should know. And I'm not talking like, hey, no math, 2 plus 2 is 4, right? We're not talking about some
No, no
basics.
math. You need to know math.
No, I mean, like, yes, we know that they need to know math. I'm talking like who they like, this whole thing about what they're supposed to be and how they're supposed to be. And we push it. We do. We push and
Well, here's
pressure
the
it out of
question that we always
our own
ask,
anxiety.
right? We always ask them when they're in high school and about to graduate, what is it that you want to do? What do you want to study in college? Well, I don't
What do you
know.
want to
I've never
be?
been in college before, you know? So it's that kind of thing. So yeah, you
Yeah, I
can't
loved it.
know. Your brain isn't fully developed anyway until you're like 25. So you're asking an 18-year-old, they're being an 18-year-old. It's kind of like parents that I see when they have little kids and I see them in the store and they're like stop that. Don't you know any better? I'm like, no. That's why they're little kids. They're doing what little kids do.
I
And it's our
do.
responsibility to train them and teach them, you know. But I find it very interesting. So thank you for that comment, Susan. Much appreciated. But sis, in the time that we have left, because I feel my voice fading,
Yes.
what's
Yes, yes,
one
yes.
nugget from just today's conversation that you want to
Mm.
leave our audience with? Or a question? The nuggets can be questions.
No, yes. Um, so I'll just take what I'm taking away because I just love what you just said, and I really appreciate that, Susan. And it just hits home as somebody who, of course, is around kids and raising a child. So one, I'm gonna go back to listening, right? Listening to the conversations that are out there, especially around young people, and then noticing myself about how am I responding to that? Because I can kind of go through my quick head quickly to realize, I out of automatic anxiety, Susan, like you said, and frustration and all of that and pressure is that, like, so you know better, right? You know what I mean? She's 8, right? So that's one, kind of like 2025. I'm going to rise above all of that. And yeah, I just love that, also to the audience, those who are watching and those who are watching the replay, here it is for you. Like, who do you say you are? Who do you say you are? And I'm asking as a challenge, like, and if you're like in that, like, I don't know, then please go and spend some time texting some friends, people, that you trust and have a good relationship with, and just say, hey, who am I? My question goes to, who am I for you? Because that's a very interesting question. Who am I for you? It kind of opens up this, like, you know, who do you think I am? Might come across as, well, you're my friend, right? But if you ask, who am I for you? It could be like, well, you're my friend, but it kind of opens it up to, like, huh, who is she for me? A good listener, a good friend, a support system, things that you might not know about yourself. And because that's really who you are, right? Like, that's who you are for people. And then you can start kind of putting those clothes on. I don't know about you, sis, before we leave, but it's always interesting for me. It's always like when I get uncomfortable, and that's when I'm going to leave. If when you're uncomfortable with somebody saying something about you, especially when they're like, that you're this light, like she was saying, this beacon, this vessel, it's just like, really, like me, like that. I want to, like, kind of totally disrupt this year, because that's still an interesting, we'll get into that next week. Like, what's that about? Like, why am I not owning that? Like, I'm a vessel, I'm a light, I'm a beacon.
Yeah, we can, right. We
Yeah.
can definitely unpack that next week. And for us, if you don't know who you are, we've got something for you. And do some action. And here is our Rise and Thrive Together journal. Make a purchase. It's got inspiring quotes and it's got reflections for you to do, to sit and think about, what is it that I want? What is it that I've done? Susan, thank you so much for the well wishes, getting better. I call this my sexy voice. Maybe now I'll meet somebody. A friend of mine says it is not sexy, it's not scary, but keep me there, Susan. I'm going to try to hold on to this and talk to some folks when I go out. But definitely, we will continue this conversation. We're going to unpack why it is that people, when they say, "Hey, I see you as a light, as a vessel," Genevieve, I'm feeling your words. That we're like me, and we don't get that that's who we are. So we'll unpack that next week. And before my voice totally blows, I want to say, yes, Susan wrote something. You read it, Reg.
Susan, remember the old, yeah, before we, like, really go, just want to get these couple of comments in. Susan writes, remember the old adage, we're human beings, not human doings. right? Like the human doing. Most people don't get that until they're challenged to think it through and do the internal
Mm,
work. Most don't do the work. Another great topic, Susan. Another great one. Absolutely. And that's why we created Rise and Thrive Together, an opportunity to just scratch the surface and have some real talk about this. This is a beginning for people and for
mhm.
seasoned people like Susan to continue that conversation, to do the internal work. Genevieve, you are my hero, my confidant, my sister. Thank you, Genevieve. I feel that. And Raquel, you sexy thing. So much fun. I
Thank you
love
for
it.
that, Susan. I
Mhm.
absolutely love it. Thank you all for the engagement. And Reg and I really and truly wish you all a blessed, prosperous, but more importantly, an awareness of who you are for this new year and going forward. And as I always like to say, we always like to say, together we can rise and thrive. Till next time.
A world filled with peace, love, unity.